I just wanted to have a chat about Lipo batteries. Some people call them Lipos, some call them Lipos. Lipo stands for lithium polymer. Oh yes, I got a grade E in chemistry at school. Lithium polymer, so I call them Lipos. Now firstly, when it comes to charging these, they have been known to catch fire. So never charge these unattended. If you are, then you need to either buy a proper charging bag that you put these in, or as I do, I put mine in a stainless steel dog food bowl, and then put the bowl in a tray of sand, and I charge them in the shed. So never charge them in your house and leave them. One of the dangers is that this casing can get pierced, and if air gets to the cells, then they go up a bit like a firework. I've seen on a YouTube clip what happens when you pierce these. So when you're transporting these around, never put them in your pocket, and if possible wrap them up in something if you're going to put them in a bag with other things, just to be on the safe side. Now when it comes to charging, especially on these 3 cells, I've got an E-Flite blade. Now the charger on those charges a lot quicker than the E-Sky does, obviously, because this is I think it's a 0.7 amp output, where 0.8 amp, where the E-Flite I think is about 1.7. So it charges a lot quicker, but it doesn't balance them very well at the end. So a tip I learned of someone was to charge an E-Flite first, and then put them onto one of these just to balance it at the end. Gets them a lot closer. If you're using the 7.4s, when you're charging on this, you'll find that you'll get the red light and you'll get a green flashing light when they're charging, and eventually that green light will go solid. And when it goes solid, that doesn't necessarily mean it's charged, because if you wait a while, that will start flashing again. And basically what it's doing is it's charged, but now it's balancing the batteries out. So even though it's solid, you need to watch it for a while and just see whether that green light starts flashing again. And if it does, then give it another sort of half hour or so, because you can sort of leave this on charge quite a bit over the charging time. Normally mine take about sort of 2.25 hours to sort of properly charge and balance, but if you leave them on for sort of 3.5 hours, you're not going to do any damage to the battery. So it's best to be on the safe side and leave it on longer than it perhaps needs to be. So let's have a look at the tester I've got. Now I got this from Deal Extreme. I think it's about £2.50, and it's handy for many reasons. One is to check after a flight to see what your battery's reading, to make sure the times you're flying the helicopter with are being kind to the battery, so you're not over discharging it. It's also a good way to check the balancing and make sure that the battery has balanced. If it's out by more than, to me, if it's more than 0.02 out between cells, then I stick it back on charge for a bit longer to sort of balance within sort of 0.02. The other good thing is, if you've got batteries that look the same, I've got 2 of these, and I've also got 2 sets of these, and sometimes they get mixed up and you don't know which one's charged and which one's been discharged. So rather than plug it into the heli and see what happens, or stick it on the charger and see what happens, you just plug it into this, and that will tell you straight away what battery you can fly with and what battery needs charging. So let's see it working. I'll do it on the 7.4 to start with. Now on your balance plug, you'll have 2 bobbly bits, and that is the technical term, by the way, bobbly bits. You'll get the 2 bobbly bits. They want to be facing you, and with the digits facing you. The bottom pins go into the bottom holes, and just plug that in, and now that will scroll through. Look, number 1 is 4.17, number 2 is 19, and overall 8.37 volts, and that will just keep going round and round. That is roughly what you're going to get on a full charge. Sometimes they'll both read 4.19, but I never get any higher than 4.19. So that's the charge. And just to see it on the 3 cell, again with the bobbly bits facing you into the bottom pins, and now you'll get 3 go through. Number 1, 2 and 3. Now that's obviously a battery that's been used, and it's nearly down to 11.1. Where this one is the one I charged, earlier, and on here 4.7, 4.14, 4.16, 4.14. So they're balanced, but I can normally get them higher than that. So before I fly that, I'll probably, because it hasn't been used for a few days, I may plug that back in. But I'm saying that it's getting a bit puffy, this one anyway, so it may just be the battery on its way out. Now if you're going to test your battery after you've been flying, ideally it wants to read around about 3.8 when it comes off, because while it's under load from the motor when it's flying, it's probably going to be reading under 3.8, and you don't want to go below 3.7. So 3.7 for 2 cells, 3.7 times 2 is your 7.4 volt. And same with these, you don't go below 3.7. 3.7 times 3 for your 3 cells is your 11.1 volt. So if it comes off the heli and it's reading near on 3.7, then you know that you're practically on your limit, which I am here. If you over discharge too much, it may get to the point where you can't simply plug it into one of these and charge it back up again. The only way around that is to either have a good charger and charge it for an hour or two at sort of 0.01 amps, just to get the charge into it, get it going, and then you can unplug it, plug it into your normal charger, and you can normally save your battery that way. If you haven't got an expensive charger, I have heard that you can leave these out in the sun to warm up for a while and then plug it in and give it a go, but it depends really just how over discharged the battery is. The other thing with these is you don't have to run them down to their limit before you charge them back up again. If you put them in your heli and you only get a 2-minute flight and you have to stop for some reason for that day, you can still whack them on charge and get them back up to fully charged before flying again. You don't have to run them down as you would like a nickel-cadmium battery. And finally, with storage wise, from what I've read, if they're fully charged, you're not supposed to leave them longer than 2 weeks at a fully charged state, as I've read. And if you are going to store it for longer than that, then I normally take them down to about half charge. So I mean, I get about a 6-minute flight out here, so I'd probably fly for a couple of minutes or so on this, and then I could stick it away. But every now and again I'll get this out and just check it, just to make sure it's not dropping and going below the 3.7 per cell. You want to be above that. So I think that's around about it with the batteries. Hopefully I've included everything. If not, then I'll stick some messages on the screen. I'll also stick a message on the screen with the website address that I got this from, because I think it's Hong Kong. It's about $3.50 with free postage, so it's not the best one going, obviously, but for these sort of batteries it's plenty good enough. If you're using sort of 6-cell batteries and you're going to be spending hundreds of pounds on a battery, then you're going to have a top rate charger anyway that will be telling you what the states are of each cell. So that's plenty good enough. So that's basically it.